find it difficult, just coming from their own experience and observation, that someone could drive a car into a tunnel at considerable speed and pick out among 30 odd the 13th pillar. How is that possible to program someone to do that?
Because that someone has been taught and programmed and taught and programmed and taught for quite a while how to do this at a very fast speed. The mind works very fast, and if they have the mind and body connected the right way, they can drive. This person would have been able to drive into the 13th pillar at a fast speed.
Would that have been happening on a conscious level, or would the subconscious have been pulling the strings?
This would be on a subconscious level, and the person would not be aware themselves of what they were doing.
In those crucial minutes before Henri Paul got in the car and drove away, would someone have had to have given him the trigger to access and activate the programming then? Or could he have been in some way pre-programmed to be triggered at that time? And if so, what would that be?
Well, he was probably programmed to do all of this at a trigger signal. And so what happened is that somebody triggered him with a preset signal that he was told, when you are given this signal, you will act out. But the program was already set to go off when the trigger, when he saw the trigger.
What form could this trigger have taken?
It could have been a hand signal. It could have been a certain type of handshake. It could have been a color that he saw that was flashed in front of his face. It could have been a certain person doing a hand signal. It's most likely that there was a person present that he was to react to when this person said something or signaled him in some way.
Given the extent of your programming from birth, how was it possible for you to break out of it, as you appear to have done now?
One thing that happened is that in 1989, my programmer handler died, who was Mengele. And he was in this country so much, and I was around him so much, and he had a lot of control over me. And what happens when a programmer handler dies, they usually have taught the person that they've been working with, to be very, very loyal unto death to them. And that's something that they, in the end, it works against everything, because when they die, even someone else coming in and trying to take over, a lot of these altars are not open to that and are loyal to that one person. And in my case, Baron Guy de Rothschild is the one that tried to take over. And for some number of years, there was a lot of the time, half the time they got their way, and half the time they didn't. And in major things, they did not get their way. One of the things that I went out and did in 1993 was I cut my hair off, and because I was publicly seen and known to have very, very long hair, I could no longer be seen. I could not be seen with my hair cut off short. This would have caused a lot of questions with other people that had been programmed. And they still tried to carry on with other parts where I wouldn't have to be publicly seen, because they still consider me to hold this status, and they still consider me their property. I was always told I was their property.
One question that people would ask is given all that you know, why don't they just take you out?
They still have plans for me, and this was told to me just a few days ago by someone else who has spoken with Baron Guy de Rothschild that they have plans for me, and they plan to try to have me back because of the psychic abilities, and that is not going to happen.
In the little bit of tape we've got left, could we just turn the subject to the jewelry you've got to your left there? What is that? Was that part of the rituals that you were involved in?
The first one, this is a child's ring. It is a 14-karat gold white, or 14-karat white gold ring with a diamond in the middle of a hexagram, or a hexagonal shape, and it looks like a hexagon if you were able to look closely at the diamond. This was returned to me by my ex-husband, who told me, well, this was in your daughter's clothes. And this was a message to me, and it was a trigger to me for him to do this. Any high-ranking survivors that I have talked to that know of this ring know that it's from Mothers of Darkness. And it would be very unusual. I mean, I don't know of anyone else that has a ring like this in their possession at this point in time.
And what's the necklace?
The necklace here is made out of copper, and it's very Egyptian, and it was given to me when I turned 19, and that's an important age because you really start at the position I was at, having these psychic powers in full effect and being allowed to do this in full effect during rituals, and this was worn during certain rituals.
Why copper, and why have it at all?
Copper is a transmitter. Copper has always been used in the occult. It has a specific meaning. The meaning it has is because I had a triad of altars that were very active in a lot of rituals, and the triad was Isis, Osiris, and Horus. And Isis was the part that drew down the moon, and Osiris performed the rituals, and Horus was what was born of performing those rituals.
Just in the literally 3 minutes we got left, or 3 or 4 minutes, I know it's difficult, but I want people to understand the nature of what's going on to so many people today. What sort of things were done to you as part of your traumatization as a child and later?
I was electroshocked to the extent that my parents were told when I was in first grade that my IQ was 70 and that I was retarded, and they said I would be retarded. I always had trouble in school when I was in school because I missed so much school. My school records are missing. They've just disappeared. I have medical records that are missing. My birth certificate appears to have been tampered with. I have had my eyelids taped open, and so I couldn't shut my eyes. I have been electroshocked. I've been put into a narcoleptic sleep and had earphones placed over my ears and had messages repeated and repeated for days. I've had drugs injected into my body so that my nerves were just like on fire, and then they would just touch me. Since I wasn't allowed to have marks on my body, they couldn't use a cattle prod on me, but they do use cattle prods on people in torturing them, and they do use electrical stimulation to the genitals and also on the teeth. And they like to inject between the toes and under the fingernails and up in the gums I've also had some kind of scarring done up through the roof of my mouth all the way up to the brain stem back here that gives me a photographic memory